Everybody knows that football is bigger in Texas. But it's not just high school football that's bigger in Texas. It's music, debate, and all other high school sports too. Each of them are highly competitive in the Lone Star State. But who's in charge of organizing the competitions for all these activities across the state? And how does this impact El Paso's football programs? We need to talk about the University Interscholastic League, most commonly known as the UIL. The UIL was founded in 1912 by the University of Texas at Austin to help coordinate and organize competitions between public high schools. Before the UIL, there was no standard oversight for contests, which meant some schools and districts could potentially abuse their control over local competitions to their favor. Now, the UIL has grown to become the largest interscholastic contest organization in the world. It not only sets the standards for how to compete, it also dictates who schools can compete with, and this can have a big impact on El Paso athletes. Every 2 years, the UIL redistributes high schools across Texas into 6 different divisions based on their enrollment numbers. The idea is that the more students a school has, the greater the talent pool it can draw from, resulting in more competitive programs. The biggest schools play against each other in 6A, and the smaller schools compete against each other in Division 1A.
El Paso has teams in 3A, 4A, 5A, and 6A. They do it based on enrollment. So every year it could change. You have teams that move up and down. And every 2 years, the UIL sets a number.
The biggest 6A division schools can have more than 4,000 students, while the smallest 1A division schools can have less than 100. The enrollment numbers are submitted in December. The UIL announces any changes in February. How does this impact high school football programs in the El Paso area? In the last realignment 2 years ago, only 3 high schools, Del Valle, Bel Air, and El Dorado, were classified as 5A Division II. Had Chapin High School not opted up from 5A Division II to Division I, football programs like El Dorado's would have faced a dilemma common to small towns in Texas. Towns stuck in the middle of Texas, like Odessa, Midland, and Abilene, have to travel each week for several hours in order to compete with each other in the same district. El Dorado High School athletic coordinator Frank Martinez says if that had happened, they would have had to travel out to Amarillo and Lubbock.
You know, there's some smaller towns in Texas where they do that all the time. They're traveling 2, 3, 4 hours every week. So that's the thing is, you know, we are a pretty big city for the most part where we're able to have that luxury to play teams within the city.
But with El Paso located on the westernmost edge of Texas, schools like El Dorado in 5A Division I and high schools in the 6A district will still have to travel far to meet other Texas schools in a neutral field come playoff time. El Paso high schools in the 5A Division II district didn't face this dilemma until late in the second or third round of the playoffs. Now, Chavez says the upcoming realignment could change all that if something happens. That may force the Division II schools and the Division I schools to play teams from out of town in the first round. There's not going to be a guarantee for Division II teams moving on in the playoffs like there has been.
For example, like Kenny Teo this year played Jefferson, Isleta played Andrus, Horizon played Burgess. That's for example, so they played this year. Well, that's not going to happen anymore for the next couple of years if that happens, because there's just going to be one big Division I this year, and there's going to be one Division II.
Something that could have a huge impact on the El Paso football landscape is if the UIL were to move forward with the idea of creating a 7A division. While this is not likely to occur in the upcoming 22 realignment, it's an emerging concept that could gain traction by the next realignment in 2024. This has happened before, as Division 6A was only introduced a few years ago. This could specifically benefit some schools like El Dorado that are on the cusp of enrollment.
It'd be huge to have that 7A because, you know, you'd have your numbers where, you know, we would be competing against schools with similar enrollments, where right now, like I just mentioned, we're at, you know, close to 2,300, and we're going to be competing against teams that are 3,300, that are, you know, across the state, 37, 4,000, you know, et cetera. So it's quite a significant difference.
Martinez says a 7A division is long overdue.
It would make sense for them to do it, and we're looking forward to that, to seeing kind of how it's going to do. But from what I'm hearing, that's a realistic future.
The UIL's cutoff numbers are very unpredictable. Sometimes the enrollment bar goes up or it goes down. So it's very difficult to accurately predict on which side of the cutoff line a team might end up on. Regardless, it's important to understand this process as it ultimately shapes the high school football landscape across Texas and leaves a lasting impact on student athletes who aspire to play at the next level. Reporting from Borderzine, I'm Jesus Baltazar.